So for today's video, we're gonna do something a little different. In the spirit of Halloween, today we're taking a look at some of the weirdest, scariest, and most grotesque creatures that the MCU has to offer. From lab experiments gone wrong, to the infected, to a man just looking for love. We're gonna check out a lot of them and try to figure out what's their win-loss ratio. You definitely won't see characters like Hulk, She-Hulk, Wanda, or Dormammu because if they haven't already, they'll be getting their own videos. But I've been talking too much, so let's hop into the video. Long before any of this shit ever took place, the deviants roamed the earth, just terrorizing the hell out of ancient civilization. But these beings called the Eternals were created to put an end to them, and that's what they do. Great Value Superman takes on one of the flying deviants, while Great Value Flash and Jackets and Jeans take on another. All this fight is doing is really just showing that the deviants are no match for the Eternals, as each one of them gets a chance to stun on their enemies. Even Great Value Wonder Woman and Buff Wong work together to take out a deviant. And that's pretty much the end of the battle and a loss for the deviants. Sometime later, the deviants are running amok in Babylon, and they've even got some new variants like this long-legged thing. One gets his head chopped off by Athena with minimal effort, while the other is on the receiving end of one of the worst hit sticks in history. Then it gets completely violated. But there's one more new deviant that arrives, this giant bull-like monster, and it gets done dirty by the whole team in the span of about 20 seconds and is put to rest. Giving the deviants their second loss today. So in a different universe in 1602, Thor's at odds with Captain Carter as they're trying to close these rifts. As they're in a battle, Happy's on Thor's side and he has a duel with Steve Rogers. Happy's talking that good shit until Steve cuts the feather off his cap, making him angry.
Oh. Sir Hogan, I am so sorry. Hogan, easy.
I don't know what the f happened to Happy in this timeline, but this shit is off-putting. But the amazing Bulk is on full attack mode and manages to get a hold of Steve, until Bruce arrives so the two of them can have a big monster battle.
You're an angry one, but not as mean as my fisticuffs.
This man Happy has no type of defense, bro. Like damn, dodge some of that shit.
Happy and money fiend! Rapscallion! Scoundrel! Feet-tallow-face! Ne'er-do-well poltroon!
This man Happy is throwing every slur discovered at the time at Hulk, and Hulk's reasonably tired of that shit. But Bruce turns his back on Happy and has an organ thrown at him.
Hear that, Bruce? The pipes are calling.
Then he does this goofy ass run towards Tony to try and stop him. But Peggy uses the device and all of the fighting stops as they allow Steve and Peggy to close the rift. I'm gonna give Happy a draw on this one because everybody just stopped fighting and nobody really lost. Back in our universe, while Captain Marvel is fighting off the Kree, Fury and Maria take the Tesseract inside of Goose's stomach and try to escape back to Earth. When they're stopped by the guards and Maria runs out of ammo, Goose horrifically takes out the entire squad. Oh my god. When they're caught again, Fury tries to summon the wrath of Goose for a second time, but Goose doesn't hurt his friends, so Talos in disguise gets to live for another couple decades. After that, they escape with the Tesseract and Captain Marvel solos everybody else in the fight. So Emil Blonsky goes to Mr. Blue and has himself turned into what is known as the Abomination. He looks like inspiration for Zack Snyder. But he's terrorizing the city to the point where Bruce has to fall out of the sky to beat his ass. Abomination starts off chucking Hulk's ass through a bus, but he wasn't expecting Bruce to use a car as a melee weapon as Bruce starts getting with him.
Is that all you've got?
Emil retaliates by field goal kicking Bruce through several buildings. General Ross, who's about as useful as P. Diddy's lawyers, distracts Emil long enough for the Hulk to get back into the fight. After they crash the helicopter, Abomination starts to get the upper hand. He taunts Bruce and uses his elbow spike to stab Hulk in the chest.
You don't deserve this power. Now watch your death!
Hulk reverses, throwing Emil into a wall before saving Betty. That gave Abomination an opening to start beating the shit out of the Hulk. But Abomination again turns his attention to Ross, giving Hulk an opening to finish Abomination, almost killing him in the process. But he doesn't, so Emil's gotta live in prison with this loss. Loki tricks Thor into going to Jotunheim and starting shit with the Frost Giants. After a few minutes of fighting, the Giants are starting to lose, so they thaw out their Frost Beast. It immediately goes on the hunt for the Warriors. As Thor starts to break the ground beneath it, it falls in, only to be shown still in pursuit on the other side. It ends up catching up to the Warriors, ready to strike, but when it opens his mouth, Thor shoots directly through it, killing it instantly. Now Laufey and the Giants may have finished this in a draw, but that Frost Beast definitely lost this shit. When Loki goes to try and take over New York and the world, he enlists the help of the Chitauri and the goddamn Leviathans. These things are very large with very tough armor. When the GOAT, with ironically the worst record on the team, draws the Leviathan's attention, he leads it directly to Hulk's fist. Leviathans are one of the first monsters I've seen to ever faceplant without legs. But after that one bites the dust, more come out of the portal to cause chaos. Some of them die immediately when Thor uses his lightning. Hulk takes a crack at one as well, punching it in the mouth a few times. Then the two of them team up to take on that Leviathan, while it can do nothing to actually defend itself. That's the problem with being the size and structure of a spaceship. Your defense relies on soldiers who are getting f***ed up by 6 people, so it's safe to say that it also dies. There's also another one that ends up getting the Holdo maneuver done on it by Iron Man. I swear these things are much more effective being transportation than they are actual threats. But that's pretty much all for them as Tony nukes their home base and Natasha closes the portal. They can't live without their Wi-Fi, so they die immediately. Horrible. Horrible job, Leviathans. Motherfuckers are big for no reason. Not like Goliath though. This horrific cloud monster eats anything that comes into the void. Like this naval ship. They tried firing shots at it, but I don't really know what they were expecting. It's a giant cloud. But Goliath makes short work of the ship and its crew, then continues on about its day. So Loki and Sylvie make a plan to tame Goliath and access the end of time. Loki starts off trying to distract it to buy some time for Sylvie. Goliath starts to bite for a second, but then it notices Sylvie. And as it goes for the kill, the other Loki builds up an entire illusion of Asgard to make Goliath go after it. But Loki can only hold it up for so long, and once he drops the illusion, Goliath is on his ass. It isn't able to do the same with Loki and Sylvie though, as they enchant it in the nick of time, opening the pathway to the end of time. After Algrim allows himself to be captured by Asgard's warriors, he uses the Curse Stone to transform himself into the monster known as Curse. These two guards try to stop him but are burned to a crisp as a result. He then breaks most of the prisoners free and incites a prison riot. He continues wrecking shit until he reaches the defense core and ever so easily blows it up, allowing the Dark Elves to infiltrate the kingdom. And as Malekith is starting to lose to Frigga Frigg Freya, Curse shows up to put an end to all that. When Frigga Frigg Freya doesn't tell them where their ether is, Curse drives his blade into her, killing her. Then Thor surprise lightnings Malekith, and Curse retreats with Malekith but without the ether, so they lose. Thor's best plan to keep the ether away from Malekith is to bring it directly to him. Genius level strategist. After they extract the ether from Jane, Curse stays behind to ensure Malekith's escape. He very easily starts off rocking Thor's world, just brute forcing his way to victory. Bro's even chucking boulders at Thor. He won't even let Mjolnir get close. And as he's demonstrating his dominance on Thor, Loki comes to stab him in the back real quick. That move does more damage to Loki than it does to Curse, as he shish kebabs Loki as well. But Loki activates one of Curse's grenades and this thing dies in the worst way possible. But Malekith did escape with the ether, which was the plan all along, so Curse's sacrifice wasn't in vain. In another alternate universe, Doctor Strange is trying to harness the power to stop Christine from going up a yonder. To do so, he attempts to absorb the power of this giant tentacle monster. It goes horribly.
Please.
After recovering for a few days, Strange is back at it. He starts off smaller this time, with an evil garden gnome. He then steals a giant bug's cape and continues taking a bunch of monsters' powers. From a giant crow, to a dragon demon, to a two-headed goat, an obtuse, rubber goose, green moose, and guava juice. For centuries, he's continuously stealing all of these monsters' powers, until he gets back to his original target. Now with the power of experience, he easily severs the monster's tentacles and absorbs the power for himself. Strange Supreme, the Majin Buu of the MCU. After absorbing every monster he could think of, the last thing he needs to absorb is himself. It's kind of funny that we've seen 2 Doctor Strange mirror matches, and none of them have been the same Doctor Strange. But this time it's not a musical battle. Strange Supreme is firing antimatter. Steven is trying his best to reason with Supreme while defending himself, but Strange only got Christine's cheeks on his mind. Steven tries to bounce Strange Supreme but gets electrocuted. After dodging tremors, he again tries to wrap Supreme up, but he sends out his cape to fight. And as the cloak and cape have their own battle, Supreme is able to counter Steven and wrap him up. Then he hits Steven with a full blast while the cape is doing his best as a right tackle. Cloak does break free and wrap Steven Supreme's arms up, but that just leads to its own destruction. Steven tries to hit him with a final flash, but it's no use as Strange Supreme pulls Steven into the Shadow Realm. He tries to trick Steven into giving up, but he sees right through it, so Supreme resorts to hands. He's able to break the last of Steven's protection and absorbs him. Strange Supreme does such a great job that he destroys his entire universe. Moral of the story, don't let magic users have sex. They lose their damn minds. So there's some high-tech batteries that this interdimensional beast wants to feast on, and the Guardians have been hired to make sure that doesn't happen. Honestly, this looks like one of those giant-ass boss raids that you play with your friends. You know, the ones that take hours for y'all to beat because the boss is abnormally difficult, and there's always somebody on the team who's either not paying attention or it's just flat-out ass. And you're the one who spent the most time on the game, so you're mainly carrying the whole team, and all you need is a competent squad, but you're afraid to make new friends, so you're stuck with the team you got. And for some reason, nobody wants to be a healer because it's too boring. So now you have to be the one, or else y'all just won't have a damn healer. Got a little too specific there. My bad, y'all. But anyway, this galaxy breather monster is kind of beating the Guardians' asses, so Drax decides to try Iron Man's move. The much smarter but much worse Guardian notices a cut on the monster's neck and has Rocket distracted. That gives Gamora the opportunity to slice down the monster's neck with a sword, ending its existence. In Muspelheim, Surtur captures Thor and starts talking about how he's Asgard's doom. When Thor breaks out, Surtur sends his minions after him. They suck, so Thor's unfazed by all of them. So that's when Surtur jumps in. He starts off with a fire blast, but Thor's able to push through it and gets to working. Surtur's apparently never worked on defense a day in his life because he doesn't even try to dodge Thor's attacks, just taking hit after hit after hit. Then Thor knocks the crown off his body, temporarily killing him. This giant flame beast breaks free and tries to attack Thor, but he drops the hammer in his mouth. Pause. But when Thor flies out of there, it's right back on him. And it gets real close to eating him, but Scourge opens the Bifrost in time to get Thor out of there. It also ended up severing the beast's head, so Surtur and company loses. So Hela's taken over Asgard and is on the hunt for Heimdall. She sends these undead soldiers after him to get his sword. Heimdall ain't no bitch though, so rather easily, he takes out a squad of soldiers.
Sorry about that.
Then another group while he's on FaceTime with Thor. But when he makes it to the bridge, Fenris and the army is waiting on one side, while Scourge and the army is closing in on the other side. Valkyrie tries shooting at the wolf, but to no avail, to the point where Bruce has to fall out of the sky to beat her ass. So Fenris takes on the Hulk while the army takes on everyone else. There's strength in numbers because these soldiers managed to take down the Commodore with ease. They're even able to get a couple effective hits on Heimdall, up until Korg, Meek, the Savior, and the rest of the rioters show up. Together they turn the tide of battle into their favor as most of the soldiers can't get a hit on them. Well, except for this three-headed bald dude. He's dead. They also took Meek's legs, but other than that, he's fine. But when Thor arrives, all of that shit goes out the window. Realizing he's not the god of hammers, Thor near single-handedly takes out a side of the army, and Valkyrie comes out to deal with the other side. While they're doing that, Fenris and Hulk are in the ocean duking it out. But at this point, the undead army is just here to make Thor look cool, so that's what they do. They were never meant to really stand a chance. Fenris ends up taking a bite into the Hulk and tries to drag him off the edge of the world. But just in time, Hulk punches the shit out of her and catches onto the ledge while Fenris falls off. This must be what Flat Earthers envision the world looks like. But after that, when the soldiers are climbing the ship to get to the refugees, Billy has a change of heart and decides to switch sides for the sake of his people. He busts out the strap and starts blasting. But unfortunately, guns run on ammo, so he dies before he even gets a chance to attack Hela. Since Hela's still standing, Thor decides to tag in the fully powered Surtur to destroy Asgard and Hela. Surtur is absolutely wrecking shop and loving every single moment of it. This is literally his destiny, so of course he's gonna relish in what he's been prepping for his whole life. But Hulk sees another big monster and tries to whoop his ass. Surtur throws him off and Thor tells him to stand down. So Hela reappears and is trying her hardest to kill Surtur before it's too late. Her attacks don't faze him that much, so he winds up his final attack and plunges his sword through Hela as well as the core of Asgard, destroying all of it, including himself. In yet another alternate universe, the Avengers are called out to try and stop a zombie infestation. It immediately goes south and the zombies kill and turn almost all of them. Only the black guy survived. It's like a reverse 90s horror movie. Big time win for the zombies though. So after Bruce gets his ass beat by Thanos and returns to Earth to warn the Avengers, he comes back to an empty New York City. When the Black Order arrives, they're ambushed by Iron Man, Doctor Strange, and Wong.
Tony? Oh boy, are you guys screwed.
Together, they show some rather amazing teamwork and take down the two foes. But they start taking it a little too far and taking bites out of Ebony and Cole. And that's when Bruce realizes the heroes are full-on zombies. And the Black Order has immediately revived and switched sides. Before they can attack Bruce, the Best Assist trophy arrives to protect him. The Cloak manages to throw Tony, wrap up Strange, and behead Wong. The Cloak is top tier, man. Ebony Maw manages to suspend Bruce in midair and holds him for the zombies to feast on. He's saved when a swarm of ants arrive to eat the remaining zombies except for Iron Man, who Hope decides to cut his head off personally. You know, this episode is gruesome as hell, but it's zombies, so I guess that makes it okay. But all the zombies are dead, so I'm gonna call this one a loss for them. The survivors make it to a train station to head to Jersey, and as they try to start the train, Happy gets caught and turned by Hawkeye, and Zombie Falcon swoops in and goes after Okoye and Bucky. They both have a slight advantage against the survivors if you ask me. That is until Sharon makes Happy shoot himself in the face and Okoye slices Falcon in half. While Peter is trying to start up the train, he's nearly bitten by the horde of zombies. But like the true hero it is, the Cloak comes in to save the day. The zombies start to overrun the station, so Wasp joins in the fight, taking out several zombies while she flies through. Once everybody arrives, the train starts, and the Cloak gets Peter on so they can leave. Everybody drops their guard as the train speeds off, but there's movement on top of the train. Someone's up there, and when they crash down, Sharon tries to blast them. But it's no use as Bucky runs in to try and save her, and when he gets there, he sees exactly who it is. The Star-Spangled Hero, the symbol of hope, Captain America himself has fallen to the horde, and now his best friend has to stop him. Bucky comes in shooting, but doesn't aim for the legs, so Cap gets close enough for CQC. Sharon revives in time to be pushed into the Wasp where she eats her. Steve throws his shield at Bucky, and Bucky returns fire, chopping him in half. Then Hope returns back to size and blows Sharon up from the inside. But as it turns out, they got a scratch on her, so it's only a matter of time before Hope turns. Which is why I'm giving the zombies the win here. If they manage to turn someone and either that person or the horde survives, the zombies win. So they arrive in Jersey where the largest horde of zombies is piled up. Before Wasp turns, she uses the last of her humanity to get the survivors onto the base and get inside. Once there, they decide to take the Mind Stone back to Wakanda. Bucky accidentally awakens zombie Wanda and she breaks free to try and kill the survivors. Spider-Man tries to wrap her up, but she uses her magic to break free. They try to escape, but Wanda gets a hold of Okoye and drags her back.
My king, Wakanda forever!
And that's when Vision decides to end it all before the heroes were ready to leave, so now the horde's on their ass. Perfect timing for Wanda to break free and realize Vision is dead. So she grabs Bucky and throws him right out of this episode. She then goes after Bruce, and that's when the Hulk decides to step in. He jumps into the horde to fight as the remaining heroes escape with the Mind Stone. Hope tries to grab on so they can't escape, but the extra thrusters allow them to break free. Pissed off, Hope throws a zombie at the jet as it takes off. Now personally, I feel like the Hulk probably would have been fine, but Okoye and the dude off of the Dark Knight were definitely turned. So by the special zombie rule, this is another victory for the zombies. And judging by their future appearance, Wanda beat the Hulk anyway. And zombie Thanos was waiting for their ass with 5 Infinity Stones, so how long would they really last? So back in our universe, the Black Order is in Wakanda trying to get the Mind Stone. Proxima sends these freaky-ass outriders to sacrifice themselves breaking through Wakanda's defenses. Eventually, they start to break through, and that's when the war begins. This isn't your typical cannon fodder though, because while yes, they are weaker than the Avengers, their numbers are far outweighing them, and they're fairly durable and wild. That adds an element of I don't give a fuck that makes them that much more dangerous. They start circling the perimeter and Black Panther has no choice but to open the barrier in front of them. Then the Avengers jump headfirst into the battle. Cap and T'Challa are holding their own for the most part, but if you're an extra in the Wakanda army, you've basically got no chance against these things. There's gotta be like hundreds if not thousands of them. And one by one, all of our heroes start to get overrun by the Outriders. And it's looking like the Outriders are gonna win this thing early when the Avengers get their star player to come even things out. Groot, but seriously. When Thor arrives, the Outriders are pretty much outmatched, and especially when Scarlet Witch enters the battle. In the end, they realize the battle is lost and they try to retreat, but Thor makes sure no one's escaping. L for the Outriders. When Thanos comes from the past to get the gauntlet, he brings his entire army with him, including the Outriders and the Leviathans. The Outriders are the first to be sent after the gauntlet, and when Hawkeye notices something's up, he quickly finds out. So now the chase for the gauntlet is on. They're hot on Clint's trail, so he plants some explosive arrows to blow him up. It only really slows them down though, and they continue chasing after him. As he's scaling the tunnel, Clint uses his Ronin skills to cut up the rest of the Outriders on his trail. Their next scene going head up against Earth's mightiest heroes in a final showdown. A Leviathan is seen getting the shit punched out of it by Giant Man, while an Outrider is seen getting the shit kicked out of it by Black Panther. There's also this giant ass gorilla looking thing that Tupac is able to take out, but they're all mainly seen in the background obviously. This isn't a movie about Outriders. They're seen again when Spider-Man activates Instant Kill.
Activate instant kill!
He's completely demolishing them, but there's so many of them that they eventually overrun him. They're so close to getting the gauntlet until Brooklyn throws his hammer to get Queens out of danger. Next, the ladies of the MCU get together to kill not one, not two, but three of the least threatening modes of transportation there is. But after Thanos blows up the time machine, Iron Man gets a hold of the gauntlet, snapping away Thanos as well as the rest of his army. All of the Outriders, all of the Leviathans, turn to dust in an instant. So let's tally up some scores and see how the first half of monsters stack up with each other. Goose is the top cat at 100% right now, but for today, that's going to be the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch y'all next time.